morning, class. For today's short lecture on geography, we will be learning about clouds and its classification. From the perspective of UPSC, CTS, and NDA exam, clouds play an immense role. Questions are often repeated from these. So, questions which gets asked are usually the layers. Then they ask you about the features, and then they ask about octas. So, what are octas? And then they will also ask you about high clouds, mid clouds, low clouds. So in this lecture, we shall complete all the questions which gets asked from. So let us start. So firstly, we shall learn about the anatomy of a cloud. So what is a cloud made up of? How does it function? What is it? So all these questions will be tackled. So firstly, we have composition of a cloud. So clouds form when invisible water vapor condenses into liquid form, right? So condensation plays a huge role for the formation of clouds. Then we have the nuclei. Condensation requires a surface. Water condenses around microscopic particles, dust, ice, or sea salt. Then we have the process. Evaporation of groundwater, air rises, air cools, and finally it condenses. So that is the process of formation of cloud. So the process is evaporation of groundwater, rising of air, cooling, and when it cools down, it condenses, thus forming clouds. Now we come on to two main factors which determine cloud type. They are temperature and wind. So temperature and wind will decide whether it will be a cirrus, cumulus, stratus, or nimbus. Now we come on to few important terms. So terms such as shielding, insulation, and delivery. So what is shielding? So shielding is basically the blockage of incoming sunlight. It keeps the temperature cooler during the day. So shielding takes place during the day. Then we have insulation. So insulation takes place at night as clouds act like a blanket, thus keeping the atmosphere warm. Then delivery. Clouds are essential delivery mechanism for precipitation, rain and snow. Rain and snow takes place because of clouds, right? Now we come on to forms of clouds. What are the various types and forms of clouds? So firstly, we have cirrus. Cirrus is also known as the feathers. Then we have cumulus, which is known as cotton wool because of its shape. Then we have stratus, it's in layers, different layers of clouds. And finally, we have nimbus, which is the rainmakers. Thus, whenever the name nimbus comes, it will always be associated with rain. It might be altonimbus, stratonimbus, cirronimbus, anywhere. So that is something which you have to keep in mind. Again, cirrus is also known as the feather clouds. Cumulus is known as the cotton wool clouds. Stratus is known as the layered or stratified clouds. And nimbus is known as the rainmakers or rain clouds. So now we come on to the features of cirrus. So cirrus appears as detached thin clouds with delicate feathery or mare's tail loop. Color is always white. Altitude is high altitude formation from 8,000 to 12,000 meter. Identification, it looks like a brush strokes, right? So cirrus appearance, it appears as detached thin clouds with a delicate feathery or mare's tail look. Its color is always white. Altitude is 8,000 to 12,000 meter. Identification, it's like brush strokes against the deep blue sky, right? Now we come on to cumulus or cotton wool. Cumulus appears as puffy, resembling mounds of cotton wool or cauliflower. Puffy mounds of cotton wool or cauliflower. They exist in dispersed patches with a distinct flat base. Altitude is 4,000 to 7,000 meter. Identification, fair weather heaps dispersed across the sky, right? So this is cumulus or cotton wool shaped clouds. Exist in dispersed patches. Altitude is 4,000 to 7,000 meters and identification is fair weather clouds. So a question often gets asked is, which is fair weathered clouds. So this will be your cumulus. Now we come on to stratus or the blanket. So stratus appears as horizontal, stratified or layered sheets. It's caused by the mixing of air masses with different temperatures. It's identified by a chilly, overcast day. Now we come on to nimbus. So as I said before, nimbus is always the rainmaker cloud. It usually appears black or dark gray. It's formed at lower altitudes. Thus, it is the source of heavy rainfall and thunderstorms formed at lower altitudes. Now we come on to something very important. So a question which gets asked in the exam is which are high clouds, which are mid clouds, and which are low clouds. So high clouds will be your cirrus, cirrostratus, and cirrocumulus. Mid clouds will be altostratus, altocumulus, and low clouds will be stratocumulus and nimbostratus. Right? So finally coming to the end of the chapter, we will learn about nephology. So what is nephology? Nephology is the branch of meteorology concerned with the study of clouds. Thus, nephrology means studying of clouds. Then we have measurements. It is known as octas. So scientists use octas to estimate how many eighths of the visible sky are covered. That is, if it's 0 octas, it will represent the clear sky. If it is 4 octas, it will represent the half cloudy day. And if it is 8 octas, it will represent an overcast. Now we come on to the summary and the end of the chapter. So firstly, we have formation. So basically, clouds are water vapor condensing on nuclei due to cooling temperatures. Then we come on to function. They act as Earth's thermostat, shielding the sun by day and trapping heat by night. Classification. So it's defined by form, cirrus, cumulus, stratus, and nimbus, and by altitude, high, mid, and low. It's measured in octaves. So with this, we have come to the end of today's short lecture. We have learned about clouds. We have learned about their classification. We have learned the different types of clouds, their specification, their alternate names, what are the features. We learned about nephrology. We learned about octas. So with this, I'd like to end today's lecture. Thank you, class.